At dinner, my fiancée's friends demanded I prove my worth by funding their $5,000 Bali retreat. My fiancé agreed. I said, okay. Then I stood up, paid the $12 entry fee and left. The panicked voicemail I got from her 30 minutes later, when she realized I was actually gone. At her glitzy Abundance Alchemy launch, surrounded by crystal clingers and vibe peddlers in a downtown loft dripping with fairy lights and false promises, my fiancée Emma took the stage like a queen claiming her throne. 200 dreamers hung on her every word about manifesting millions, her emerald gown glowing under the spots. I stood back, seltzer in hand, the power couple prop in her perfect reel. Then, the VIP nook trap sprung. Her squad, Mia, Camilla, Chloe, leaned in over Elderflower Fizz. Mia dropping the bomb casual as confetti. Dylan seal the Bali retreat fund. $5,000 proves you're all in right. Camilla nodded. Chloe smiled soft. Emma. She met my eyes, that sponsor seal grin, blooming slow, her nod, the green light. Let me crunch that, I said even. Stood smooth, wove the ropes, hit the bar tab QR. $12 for my drink. Exact. No tip for the empire. Door hit my back, night air sharp. 30 minutes later, her voicemail hit like a system crash panic I could hear from blocks away. I never thought a single night could expose the fault lines in a 3-year relationship. But there I was, staring at the invitation on my phone like it was a glitch in the code. Engaged for 3 months to Emma, the woman who once called me her rock. Turns out, rocks don't sparkle enough for her crowd. I'm Dylan, 31, a data analyst by day. My world runs on patterns, spreadsheets, and quiet efficiencies. Hers, all vibes, filters, and viral posts. We met at a tech conference mixer 3 years back. She was the life coach pitching Manifest Your Empire to a room full of skeptics. I was the guy nursing a flat beer, crunching numbers in my head about event ROI. She laughed at my dry joke about algorithms predicting bad dates. 6 months later, we were official. It felt balanced like a well-tuned server. But balance is fragile when one side's all flash. Emma's 29, an influencer with 250,000 followers, tuned into her Empower Her brand. Life coaching for the aesthetically ambitious vision boards, crystal grids, and attracting abundance retreats. She thrives on the glow-up, the endless scroll of perfection. Our differences. They started as charm. I'd debug her website glitches at 2 a.m. She'd drag me to rooftop brunches where I'd sip black coffee while she snapped stories about soul-aligned mornings. I handled the back-end bills, leases, the unsexy glue. She handled the front, the narrative we sold to each other. Opposites attract. She'd say posting couple reels of us hiking or me supporting her glow. But opposites erode if one's always eroding the other. Then there were her friends. Mia, Camilla, Chloe, the unholy trinity of Emma's inner circle. All influencers in their late 20s, orbiting the same echo chamber of sponsored hauls and girl boss brunches. Mia's the ringleader, 28, with a podcast on feminine magnetism that somehow monetizes through essential oil upsells. Camilla, 27, does wellness travel vlogs, always chasing that next paid stay in Bali. Chloe, 29, the quiet one, but her Instagram's a shrine to luxury dupes and passive income dreams. They met Emma in some online mastermind group 2 years ago, and suddenly our apartment felt like a green room for their content shoots. Babe, angle the light just so, Emma would call from the balcony while Mia critiqued my energy over takeout sushi. Dylan, you think too much. Loosen up. It was always veiled, that subtle shade. My job, so analytical. My car, practical, I guess. My hobbies, coding side projects, reading econ journals, crickets, or worse, eye rolls. They weren't mean outright, just dismissive, like I was the NPC in their hero's journey. But the real anchor, the one that kept me tethered despite the drift, was my workstation. $20,000 of custom-built precision pieced together over 2 years. Not just hardware, a GPU that rendered simulations in seconds, a CPU that hummed like a second heartbeat, RAM modules I'd sourced from obscure forums. It wasn't bought, it was forged, and the case hand-scratched aluminum from my dad's old toolbox. He passed 5 years ago, a mechanic who taught me circuits over garage coffee. Build what lasts, son, not what shines. That rig wasn't a toy. It was my command center where I'd analyze client datasets until dawn, turning chaos into clarity. Emma knew the story. I'd told her on our second date, watching her eyes glaze over the tech specs. Cool babe, she'd say, but her posts never featured it. Once during a shoot, she draped fairy lights over it for mood. I unplugged them quietly. Another time she suggested selling a module to fund her retreat deposit. It's just sitting there. I rebuilt the power supply instead. She shrugged. Whatever makes you happy. That indifference. It stung like a short circuit, but I patched it over. Love's like that, endless troubleshooting. Looking back, the red flags were compiling in the logs long before the crash. First, the forgotten tabs. We'd hit a wine bar after her launches. I'd cover the $100 bill while she posed for the gram. You're the best, a kiss on the cheek, but the Venmo never pinged back. Babe, my card's maxed from ads. Then the asks escalated. Designer heels for a collab event. Just this once. Or a new ring light, because content is queen. I'd front the cash log it mentally, but confrontation, not my code. I optimized for harmony. Her job got the brunt too. Data's so dry. She'd laugh to her friends mid-dinner. Dylan's saving the world one pivot table at a time. Mia would chime in. But Emma, you're manifesting millions. Laughter rippled, and I'd force a smile feeling like outdated firmware. And the pressure on her, I saw it in flashes. Late nights scrolling metrics, her whispering to Chloe about keeping up the facade, or Mia texting group chats, gotta level up or get left behind. Emma confided once wine loose, they expect the empire dill, can't show cracks. I nodded, offered to run her analytics pro bono. She waved it off. Vibes over variables, babe. Deeper in the demands hit personal. She borrowed my vintage watch for a photo shoot. It photographs vintage chic, and it vanished into her drawer for weeks. Or the time she rearranged my desk for feng shui flow, unplugging half my setup mid-project. Oops, thought it was off. Deadlines slipped. I fixed it solo. And the subtle jabs at my realism. You're too grounded, dial. Live a little. Grounded meant boring in her lexicon, but I loved her fire, or thought I did. Thought it complemented my steady burn. 3 years in, engaged on a quiet beach at sunset, my idea simple ring, she glowed. We're unstoppable. Yeah, unstoppable until the algorithm shifted. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. The air in our apartment hummed with prep for her big launch, Abundance Alchemy. A sold-out workshop promising unlock your wealth frequency. Invites glittered on every surface, gold foil crystal embeds. She bounced around in a silk slip dress, spraying perfume like incantations. Babe, this is it. My breakthrough. I looked up from my screen mid-query on forecast models. Sounds killer. Need help with the slides. She paused, mirror reflection smile faltering. Actually, yeah. Come as my +1. Show face. Network a bit. Network. Code for endure the swarm. But it was her night. I closed the laptop. Wouldn't miss it. She lit up, pecking my cheek. Knew you'd support the vision. Support. That's what I did. Always the back end, never the star. As she zipped her clutch, I caught my reflection in the hall mirror, button-down, crisp slacks pressed. Practical. Reliable. The guy who pays the utilities so she can manifest. We drove in silence, mostly her playlist pulsing with binaural beats for high-vibe entry. My mind wandered to the workstation, back home fans whirring softly like a lullaby. Dad's case engraving caught the desk lamp. Forge ahead. Emma glanced over. You okay? Loosen up, Dill. Tonight's about energy. Energy. Right. I gripped the wheel a fraction tighter. The venue loomed, a sleek loft, downtown string lights, and velvet ropes, screaming curated opulence. Valet took the keys. She linked arms, all smiles for the red carpet snappers. Wave, babe. We're the power couple. Power. If only she knew how much I'd already powered her glow. Inside, the crowd swirled crystal-wearing millennials coaches, hawking ebooks, the faint scent of Palo Santo, masking desperation. Mia spotted us first, air-kissing Emma before side-eyeing me. Dylan, you made it. So sweet. Camilla and Chloe flanked mimosas in hand. He's your good luck charm, Em. Charm. Yeah. As Emma dove into hugs, I hung back, scanning the room like data points. Exit signs, bar tab estimates. Her speech slot at 8. Routine reconnaissance. Little did I know the real scan was just beginning. The loft thrummed with that curated energy, dim chandeliers dripping light like melting gold air laced with Palo Santo, and the faint buzz of whispered affirmations. 200 attendees easy clustered in their affirmation circles, journals out, pens poised for the next wealth code. Emma's Abundance Alchemy launch was hitting its stride, the kind of event where hope masquerades as hustle. I'd claimed a spot at the bar's edge, seltzer in hand eyes, scanning the flow like I'd debug a crowded server rack. Old habit. Emma had vanished into the pre-speech swirl 10 minutes ago, her emerald gown catching the lights like a signal flare. Mingle, babe, she'd murmured, arm brush light as a prompt. Mingle, as if I blended in this vibe vortex. The MC, a silver fox guru with a man bun and malabeads, grabbed the mic right on cue. Visionaries, welcome to the alchemy of true abundance. Cheers swelled phones up, capturing the hype. He teased her system's slow-ditching scarcity scripts, tuning into money frequencies, slides, flashing bank balance mock-ups and client glow-ups from ramen to retreats. No more grind, let riches flow to you, he intoned, voice dipping low for the sell. The crowd ate it up, nods sinking like bad code. Emma stepped into the spot at 8 sharp radiant mic, like an extension of her glow. Thank you for this sacred space. She started smooth as a sponsored reel. We've been wired for lack, but tonight we claim the overflow. Her flow was flawless. Dawn visualizations to magnetize millions, gratitude rituals for dissolving debt vibes, group breaths to unlock your vault. The room leaned in, mesmerized, a sea of yes queen murmurs. Picture it, alerts for windfalls, not worries. That's our frequency. Whoops broke out. One guy fist pumped, manifesting from the wings. Pride tugged at me, brief but real. She'd scripted this beast over sleepless months, tweaking hooks till they hooked. But the close for the committed VIP founding circle, 12 spots, $12,000 each. Secure your seat in the empire. Murmurs turned to eager whispers, a few hands shooting up like bids at auction. 12 grand for Zooms and energetic upgrades. I crunched it quick, her take-home post fees solid if the retention held. Fell off though, like selling smoke, as solid gold. Applause crashed as she descended queen bee to her hive. Straight to the VIP nook, velvet ropes, low-slung couches, a server popping elderflower corks. Mia, Camilla, Chloe already throned, their dresses shimmering like they cost what they didn't. Hugs swallowed, Emma squeals, piercing the din. Slayed it, that debt block slide iconic. Mia's fry-thick voice led the charge. I wove through backslappers cards, flapping like desperate flags, and ducked under the rope. Cushion dipped as I sat boxed in Mia. Left all waves and wattage. Camilla opposite, thumb-scrolling stories. Chloe right of Emma tattoo, whispering from her strap. Glasses clinked. To the flow, fizz sharp and cloying on my tongue. Chit-chat looped her pitch. Chasing versus chase, pure fire. Camilla gushed, tagging live. Blow up incoming. Emma preened, arm linking Chloe's. Our circles locked in, girls. Synergy supreme. Mia pivoted to me, then smile honing sharp. Dylan verdict, manifesting your data dreams yet. Neutral nod from me. Strong close, graphics popped clean. Chuckles rippled my tech tick, earning the eye roll. Chloe cocked her head. Precision's your jam, but M nails the feel. Emma's hand found my knee squeeze, saying play nice. I did collabs metrics, letting their echo chamber hum. Shift hit when empties cleared, Mia leaning in like deal time. On manifesting, Bali retreats booked, full moon magic villa vibes. Camilla lit up. Sound healing intention sets the reset we crave. Chloe solemn nodded. M leads the circle. Collective elevation. Emma animated hands waving stars. Stars aligned visions. Total shift. Hook baited. Mia casual dropped. Group pots light though. Deposits piling. Dylan steady Eddie cover the gap. 5,000 locks our glow fund. Shows skin in the game. Pass error 5 grand. For their escape pod my invite revoked. Camilla layered. Not cash commitment. To the squad M's rise. Chloe soft-souled. Proves your tribe. All in ya. Silence blanketed the nook. Sips frozen stares pinning me like buggy code. Emma held steady knee pressure turning cue. I locked eyes, real lock inches deep. And there, no flinch, just that real ready smile. Tiny complicit, the one sealing sponsorships. A micro nod. Your move. Buzz dulled to white noise, crowds cheer, a far hum. 5,000. Test cloaked in tribe talk, valuing me in whim dollars. Brain booted crisis flag. The breach log, the patterns. Red flags stacked tabs. Forgot heals. Borrowed. Workstation shrugs, now scripted clear. I was prop provider fueling their facade. Emma stage manager cueing the extract. Betrayal whispers doesn't roar. Synapses lit her midnight scrolls on metrics, Mia's pressure pings for level up or lag. Emma's wine slurred, can't crack the empire illusion. Logic locked, no flare-up, no fuel for their narrative. Recall, disengage, assess, deploy. 3 years wait canted toward abort. Her smile waited expectant. Mine curved slow steel. Not fury framework. Board upended. Porn no more. That nod not alliance. Kill code. All after just cascade. Her smile hung there, that polished little curve waiting for me to fold like a bad hand. The alcove's velvet pressed into my back. Mia's expectant lean on one side. Camilla's phone still half raised, like she was framing the moment for posterity. $5,000. Not a slip, not a jest, a gauntlet thrown casual as confetti. Chloe's eyes flicked to Emma, soft but probing. The group's silent vote tallied. Emma's nod lingered, her hand on my knee. Gon's still thumb paused mid-circle. Proof of buy-in. To the vibe. To them. My pulse ticked steady, no spike, just the quiet churn of a processor hitting overload. Patterns locked the forgotten Venmos, the borrowed upgrades to her brand that shrug when I mentioned the workstation's heart dad's case etched deep. This wasn't random. It was the upgrade prompt me as the line item in their ledger of luxury. I let the beat stretch their breaths, sinking shallow. Then slow as committing code, I smiled back. Not wide, not warm, just even the kind that says I've run the Sims. Let me crunch that, I said voice level, pulling out my phone like it was no bigger than checking the weather. Their faces bloomed relief from Mia, a quick tag from Camilla's thumb hovering. Emma's eyes lit that sponsor seal gleam. Crunch. Cute. I tapped open the app, scanned the QR for the bar tab. $12 for my seltzer fizz and all. Exact change, no tip for the Empire. I stood, then smoothed no creak in the cushion. Got it covered. Mia started "You're the," but I was already turning, weaving the rope like it was an exit node. No backward glance, no parting shot. Just steps, measured, carrying me through the swirl of crystal clingers and affirmation echoes. The door hit Cool Night AirCab app, pinging before my slacks settled. Outside, the city's hum swallowed the loft's pulse horns, distant bass from a club, the sharp inhale of October chill. I slid into the first yellow cab idling curbside address, punched in without a fumble. Driver glanced in the mirror. Rough night. I met his eyes flat. Just recalibrating. He chuckled, pulled out. The city blurred past neon streaks on wet pavement, my mind already forking processes. First, the auxiliary card. Emma's shopping lifeline linked 6 months back for emergencies. Emergencies like flash sale retreats or last-minute glam squads. I thumbed the bank's app security pin, muscle memory, freeze account. Effective immediate. No alerts, no drama, just a silent gate drop. Done in 30 seconds, the confirmation, a green tick in the dark. Next fork, shared streams. Our joint Spotify for road trips, her login to my analytics dashboard for content insights. Harmless once now vectors. I hit settings on each, revoke access, one tap. Spotify first, her curated high vibe cues gone from my queue. Dashboard next, the back end where I'd optimized her launch metrics, pro bono funnel drops she'd ignored for intuitive hits. Log out all devices. Clean sweep. Phone buzzed once Emma, a heart emoji, probably mid-toast. Ignored. The cab hummed south, my apartment's grid, emerging in the gridlock. Last thread, the lease portal. My name sole on the deed, her add-on for stability vibes. Revoke secondary key fob access. Tempting, but premature. Let the silence compile first. And here's the thing about walking away clean, it's not retreat. It's the sharpest advance. See in the quiet strategist's playbook, power isn't in the shout down or the scene steal. It's in the vanish the void you leave that echoes louder than any comeback. Think chess, why topple the king when you can slip your rook to the back rank and control the board unseen. That exit from the VIP nook, not defeat. It's the feint, the lure drawing them deeper into their own trap. They expect the prop to prop up the steady hand footing the fantasy, deny it and the facade phrase at the seams. No energy wasted on pleas or proofs, just extraction pure and surgical. It's counterintuitive, yeah, feels like surrender until you clock the shift. Suddenly you're not the supporting act. You're the ghost in the machine rewriting the rules while they chase shadows. That $12 tab, not petty. It's the receipt for your extraction fee, a line in the sand drawn with a flourish. Walk away, and you don't just escape the game, you redefine the win condition. Strength in the slip, victory in the silence. They taught me that unwittingly vibes crumble without variables to balance the books. The cab pulled up, curbside meter at $14, total tip rounded it even. Elevator ride up was dead quiet, my floor's hall light flickering like a bad loop. Key turned, smooth door, clicking shut behind me. Apartment smelled of her Palo Santo stick from morning faint fading. I crossed to the kitchen, grabbed the bourbon from the high shelf, the one we'd cracked on engagement night. 2 fingers neat over a single cube. Glass clinked soft against the counter as I poured. Phone went face down beside it, silenced mode locked. No voicemails yet, no frantic pings. Just the workstation's fans whirring low in the corner like a sentinel's breath. Dad's case glowed under the desk lamp. Forge ahead, etched faint but firm. I raised the glass to it, sip burning steady down. First move executed, their turn to squirm in the open. Night deepened, outside the window. City lights a scatterplot of data, points unsolved. Bourbon warmed the edges, logic settling like sediment. 3 years code, now debugged raw, the opposites attract pitch, masking her orbit around influencers who'd bleed her dry for the glow. Mia's pressure texts I'd glimpsed, level up or get ghosted queen. Emma's late scrolls chasing validation metrics that metrics couldn't touch. This Bali-arse catalyst, not climax. The real breach was the blueprint me as the unseen engine fueling a facade that had run hot till burnout. But engines overheat if you ignore the gauges. I'd tuned her world quiet, now mine reset to factory. No rage-fueled rants, no midnight monologues, just the method. Cut the feeds, seal the ports, let the systems self-audit. By dawn, she'd hit the walls I'd wired. I drained the glass cube, rattling empty. Bedroom door stood ajar, her silk robe draped over the chair like a flag of occupation. Ignored it. Couch. It was tonight, closer to the rig anyway. Pulled the throw-over lights out. Phone stayed dark, but sleep. It came clean dreamless, the kind that follows a solid commit. Morning would bring the cascade. Her card declined mid-mimosa, the group chat fracturing over the no-show fund. My role observer offline. The board was hers now, play the pawns, chase the queen. I'd already castled kingside safe in the stacks. Check not yet, mate. But the clock ticking her time, thought for 6 icks. The silence that followed my cab peeling away from the loft. It settled like a system reboot, clean and absolute. No echoes from the VIP nooks fizzing glasses, no phantom clinks of elderflower toasts, just the low whir of my apartment's vents, cycling air, that suddenly felt mine again. Saturday dawned crisp sunlight slanting across the kitchen island, where my phone lay face down, a dormant node in the network I'd just firewalled. Black coffee brewed, strong steam curling as I fired up the workstation for a client pivot table numbers, aligning neater ritual to ground the glitch of last night. Dad's case engraving caught the light. Forge ahead. Yeah. I'd forged the cuts already, her auxiliary card iced, shared logins revoked, access ports sealed. No alerts fired, no drama queued. Just the quiet compile of consequences running in the background. By 11, the first ripple hit. Phone vibrated once sharp against granite, Emma's icon flashing like a flagged error. I let it ring out mid-sip, watching the voicemail icon swell. Declined the follow-up at 11:05, then 11:12. Around noon, post-export, I tapped play on the first. Her voice spilled frantic, the polished launch lilt cracked at the edges. Dylan, babe. My card just bounced at the spa. Mia and Chloe are side-eyeing me, like I faked the whole vibe. What gives you bailed so quick last night? I figured you needed space to analyze or whatever. This freeze. Not cool. Call back. No sorry in the script. No ownership. Just deflection. Her squad stares as the new villain. Archived it, timestamp 11:47. Data point 1 logged. The floodgates cracked wider from there, a stress test I'd scripted, but never run. Texts piled, first group chat bleeding into solos like unchecked threads. Mia at 12:02. Dill M's spiraling over brunch drama. Bali funds dead without your chippin'. Man up. Camilla at 12:18. Energy's tanked. Thought you were ride or die. Chloe sharp as ever. At 12:30. Words are cheap. Where's the action? Emma's private line lit sporadic but spiked 12:55, a cascade of emojis crumbling to please. Babe, was the $5,000 too much? It's for the circle, our future glow. Future. Right. By 1:30 voicemails stacked to 4, her pitch cycling from snap to supplicate. I know you're logical, but radio silence, it's breaking me. The girls are whispering I overhyped the power couple bit. Just unlock the card, we'll talk empire builds. Empire. As if metrics bowed to manifestations, I sampled 2, transcribed the rest, deflect, demand, repeat. Airplane mode engaged at 2, bourbon swapped for water. Day 1 contained. Sunday amped the chaos, her barrage turning battering ram. Woke to 29 unread notifications stacking like a buffer overflow. Mia's story repost at 8:15. A reel of sun-kissed Bali mocks captioned, "Abundance waits for no one." Fund fail. My tag buried in the comments. Camilla's snap at 9:02 deflated villa mock-ups, dreams deferred when support dips. Emma's onslaught crested mid-morning voice note at 10:20, breath hitching. Dylan's ghosting has them turning, Chloe's calling the launch a flop, saying I should have locked in the steady better. The card block petty. Fix it please. Your brain plus my vision, we'd crush. Crush. Echo of sunset proposals, now a plea bargain. Calls surged 10:45, 11, 12, 11:50 each memo, a desperation dial-up. Answer, they're painting me broke, it's your freeze doing this. Your. As if the $5,000 gauntlet was a rounding glitch. None fielded all mirrored screenshots, geo-stamped cloud-synced like audit trails. Brunch was Lean Egg's scrambled side project on freelance forecasting open. Her next salvo dropped at 12:10 text thread, erupting mid-fork. Fine play hardball over cash, but that workstation obsession. It's mine now, collateral for the heart I've invested. $20,000 of your circuits versus my soul. I'll liquidate modules for Bali. Balls in your court. Boom. The blunder bold as a buffer underrun. 20 grand. My rig custom GPU rendering dad's legacy Sims CPU hand-tuned overnight. She'd chased likes RAM, rare-sourced from forums she'd never fathom. Not leverage, not swap meet. Pre-engagement fortress receipts receipted sweat equitied soul. Pulse held baseline as I passed it, twice the poetry of her pivot crystallizing soul versus silicon. As if Venmo voids and glam loans squared the sum. Screenshot locked metadata, mined sender Emma 1210, traced to her vanity mirror's glow post brunch lounge geo. Fatal fork. No heat surge, just strategy snapping into stack, isolate, invoke, iterate. Phone off airplane lawyer's line cued Marcus Hale will handler from dad's exit 5 years back. No nonsense grip, Reed's got the vectors. Dialed at 12:20, brief beamed, Marcus Dillon. Fiancée's eyeing premarital asset custom PC 20 grand street. Threat text attached. Demand letter detinue vibe. Stat. Ping back 3 minutes. Copy. Separate property holds no marital mix. Theft if fenced. Draft EOD. Clockwork. While his crew queued the queue, I refreshed the legals in RAM prenup dodges. She'd vibe blocked last fall. Estate basics bookmarked. Core code, pre-ring assets quarantine. No transmutation sans intent. Rig, my deed trail, 24 months of invoices no commingle. Her hold unlawful detention minimum conversion max if cached. Civil 3052 return in 10, or claims court climbs fees. Accrue interest ticks punitives if spite stacks. Marcus's twist, betrothal fiduciary, her grabbers quasi-extort engagement as implied trust. No penal play messy mesh, but civil sting sufficient. By 1:15 inbox pinged PDF pristine, Hale and Associates header heavy. Ms. Emma, surname, immediate cessation of property interference. Remand intact or litigate for conversion and treble damages. Per Mr. Dylan Reed Counsel. Forwarded blind at 1:30. Subject Stark, re your 1210 claim. Read receipt, blued at 1:32. Quiet till 1:45. Then reversal rush her texts tumbling. A lawyer over tech junk. Voicemails vaulted. Dylan scrapped this suing for a desk. I vented the girls amped the pressure launch jitters. Call 'em off, vented, as if air quotes absolved. Mia's blocked line leaked voicemail. Obsessed much M's wrecked. Thor the card she's emotion broke. Wrecked. Adorable. Archived. Annotated. Archived. The missive no faint cert mail, queued by 3 receipt return rigged. Her hand bared as bluff artist, claiming code, the court's code locked. Dusk draped slow herbal tea for the wind down caffeine cache cleared. Tally 38, unread her final at 7:20. Mercy. Empire's us. Us. Out. Marcus pinged at 8. Dispatched. 10-day fuse lit. Glass raised to the rig's hum circuit's steady sentinel. 20 grand stake and symbol. Her snatch, the spark that scripted the scrub. Weekend wrapped turmoil tallied takedowns tabled. Their tempest, mere metadata now. Board mine code compiled. Check. The 10-day clock on Marcus's demand letter ticked like a fuse in slow motion. Each day, a quiet accrual of silence from her end. No frantic replies, no half-baked apologies laced with emojis, just the blue check on that forwarded PDF, fading into the ether. I'd prepped for pushback, more voicemails dissecting the drama Mia's squad, amplifying the shade in stories about toxic logic blocking flows. But nothing. Her read receipt from Monday lingered like a ghost in the thread timestamped 1:32, then crickets. By Wednesday, the certified mail notice pinged, my inbox delivered signed for at her loft address. Still, no breach. No demands retracted, no rig returned. I logged it all timestamps delivery scans, the growing ledger of her non-compliance. Workstation stayed dark in the corner, fans silent, as a held breath dad's case, a shadowed sentinel under the desk lamp. 20 grand in circuits waiting on her whim, or lack of it. Thursday blurred into routine client calls, stacked a new freelance query on anomaly detection, pulling me deep into code. Phone stayed on vibrate, tucked in drawer like quarantine. Around 3 mid-simulation, render it thrummed once. Unknown number area code hers, but offset suburban overlay the kind tied to family plans. I let it roll to voicemail cursor hovering on pause. but the second ring hit insistent screen lighting the kitchen like an alert flare. Against protocol, I swiped. Read. Static crackled. Then a voice gruff edged with gravel, and something heavier like regret ground fine. Dylan Mark Hargrove, Emma's father. Pause. The name landed neutral, at first retired exec, the guy who'd grilled me over steaks last Thanksgiving, probing my projections for her brand like it was a merger pitch. Firm handshake, backslap approval. Now his tone carried weight, the kind that bends air. We need to talk. Now. I leaned against the counter, bourbon half poured but untouched. Mark. Didn't expect the line. He exhaled sharp, no preamble. Cut the formalities, son. I got your lawyer's letter this morning, certified all caps and legalese. Emma. She handed it off like junk mail, said it was a bluff, you posturing over some spat. Posturing. As if the rig was a prop in their script. I kept level voice flat as a baseline query. Not a bluff. She threatened to hold it text at 12:10 explicit. Premarital asset documented. He grunted low and loaded. I know the score. Read the fine print. That's why I'm calling, not her. But there's more. You're sitting down. The line dipped his breath ragged like prepping a boardroom bomb. My grip tightened on the glass ice, shifting soft. Go ahead. 2 beats of dead air, then it dropped heavy, unfiltered. She stripped it. The workstation. GPU, CPU, those rare RAM sticks you spec'd out gone. Pawned 'em Wednesday at that hole-in-the-wall PC recycler off 8th. Told me it was old junk from a client purge, needed quick cash for whatever her latest vision was. $1,500, Dylan. For 20 grand of your build. The words passed slow, each one a fracture in the stack stripped pawned junk. Dad's legacy modules hand-soldered over garage nights, the GPU that crunched his old engine sims before he passed fenced for pocket change. 1,500. Her old junk. Rage flickered, hot and brief, but logic clamped it, evidence, not emotion. She sold parts, without title. Mark's voice cracked, then fury bleeding through the shame. Yeah, lied to my face when I pressed, said you'd cleared it some mutual upgrade. I drove to the shop myself this afternoon, flashed your letter like a badge. Owner had the guts to laugh, buyback only, cash up front. 2,000 to reclaim what she dumped. 2 grand son out of my retirement slush because my daughter's too deep in her delusions to own the mess. The line hummed static, his words echoing in the quiet kitchen like a buffer overflow. Socked. Not just the theft, the casual erasure, her spin, doctoring it to family like a bad quarterly. Mark kept on, voice dropping, gravel low. I'm ashamed, Dylan. Raised her better than this accountability, not this influencer fog. She sat in the car while I haggled, wouldn't even step foot inside. Cried about pressure from the girls, Mia and the rest riding her for that Bali farce. But that's no excuse. I made her watch the whole thing, me handing over cash for your scraps, her scraps now, I guess. Scraps. The word twisted, but his tone held no pity, just the raw edge of a father seeing the wiring fail. They're in the trunk now, bubble-wrapped like contraband. I'll drop 'em at your building in an hour. And Dylan, this ends it. For her, for us, you're clear. I set the glass down steady, despite the churn. Appreciate the heads up, Mark, and the retrieval. He paused, exhale heavy. Don't thank me. Blame her choices. But listen, you dodged a caliber round. She's chasing ghosts. You build real. Forge ahead, yeah. That's what you told me once over that damn rig. Forge ahead. Dad's etch now echoed back like a loop closed. Click. Line dead. I stood there, phone warm in hand. The apartment's hum resuming like nothing breached. But it had. Twist sharp as a shorted line, not just ignored, but dismantled. Her vent, calculated cull parts peddled for whims while I logged legals. Socked faded to steel shock to strategy. Screenshot the call, log note the details, recycler address, buyback, somehow lie to Mark. Marcus would loop it in conversion amps to 11 now. But the win already compiling. Her facade fractured from within Dad as unwitting enforcer. Hour ticked to 7 lobby buzzer slicing the sim render I'd buried into. Concierge voice. Package from Hargrove Imports. Mr. Mark, sir. Tech bits, he said. Elevator down box waiting, unmarked cardboard, tape tight weight. Familiar, but violated. Signed for hauled up. Kitchen table cleared, scissors through tape. There, GPU matte black scuffed from hasty yank. CPU cooler askew, thermal paste smeared like regret. RAM sticks, the rare dual-channel pair labels peeled half off. 1,500 worth 2 grand redeemed. Dad's case absent, likely spared, too bulky for her quick flip, but the guts gutted. I laid 'em out, methodical catalog damage photo each for the file. No tears, no table flip. Just the cold math of rebuild eBay for matches 2 weeks, tops, 5 grand buffer. Her karma drop, not my pursuit, but her pawn play rebounding via bloodline. Mark's trunk, haul his wallet, sting poetic unintended. Night deepened, parts staged under the lamp like autopsy. Phone stayed dark, no ping from her, no Mia memes. Mark's close out echoed, dodged around. Yeah, the rig's shell waited in the corner hollow but holding. I'd repopulate it, layer by layer, stronger seals, better redundancy. Her strip, not loss. Audit. Exposed the core rot vibes over value empire on borrowed boards. Bourbon poured, now one finger toast to the twist. She'd fenced the future for a fleeting fund. I'd reclaim upgraded. Clock hit 8 city lights scattering below like data dust. Cascade continued her circle, closing ranks or cracking next. My vector clear, check closing in. The box sat heavy on my kitchen table that Friday evening. Its cardboard edges frayed from the trunk haul bubble wrap, peeking like poorly bandaged wounds. I'd catalogued the parts Thursday night under the desk lamp, GPU scuffed but salvageable CPU cooler listing, like a drunk on last legs, RAM sticks with their labels half peeled, whispering of hasty hands. $2,000 lighter for Mark, $1,500 fenced by her. The math mocked me quiet, her quick flip for Bali, whims his retirement dip to drag it back. No call from her since the twist drop. No Mia memes or Chloe shade, just the void thicker now, with the weight of what she'd gutted. Workstation shell loomed in the corner, hollow-eyed fans, off like a heart on pause. I'd sourced prelim replacements, Friday morning eBay alerts pinging for matching specs, 5 grand buffer in the build fund. Reclaim, not resent. That's the protocol. Buzzer cut the sim render at 7:15, concierge's voice tinny through the intercom. Mr. Read visitor Mark Hargrove. Says it's personal delivery. Personal. Yeah. I thumbed the latch, release elevator hum rising like a verdict. Door swung open at 7:18 Mark, filling the frame, 62 broad as the exec he'd been, but shoulders slumped under a wool overcoat that hung loose. Grey at the temples, sharper than Thanksgiving eyes, red-rimmed like he'd audited his own regrets overnight. In his hands, a reinforced case, the missing shell from my rig etched, forge ahead, catching the hall light. No words at first, just a nod heavy as handover. Dylan. His voice gravel ground, stepping in without invite, case thudding soft on the table beside its innards. I closed the door quiet, no rush to fill the air. Kitchen smelled of herbal tea gone cold, workstation's shadow stretching long across the floor. Mark shrugged off the coat, draping it over a chair like surrender. Full kit. Shop kept the case, said it was too beat for scrap, but solid. Solid. Dad's aluminum hand scratched over oil stains and engine torque. I nodded, pulling stools from the island, 2 facing the table like a deposition. He sat first, exhale ragged hands, folding over knees like prayer without plea. Son, I owe you this up front. I'm sorry. For her. For all of it. Sorry. The word landed flat, no edge, just the weight of a father hauling his kid's wreckage. I met his gaze steady. Appreciate the lift, Mark. Parts check out, minimal wear. Minimal. As if that softened the strip. He leaned forward, then elbows on knees, voice dropping low, like boardroom closeout. Minimal, don't cut it. I drove her here, insisted. She's in the car downstairs, won't budge. Cried the whole way from the recycler, blaming vibe blocks and those harpies she calls friends. Mia texted her mid-haggle, dump the deadweight queen, Bali's calling solo. Deadweight. Me reduced to ballast in their balloon. Mark's jaw tightened, knuckles whitening on his slacks. I shut that down, told her straight, this ends tonight. No more Empire excuses. No more dipping into delusions. That 2 grand, it's on her tab installments from her coaching scraps starting next month. Straight to you, wired clean. Till she's 40, if it takes that. Learned the hard way, actions audit themselves. 40. The number hung a ledger line drawn long her glow-up deferred metrics mocking back in red ink. I pictured it, Emma's Zoom stutter starting over pawn regrets retreats refunded for rig restitution. Poetic unintended, her father's gavel, not mine. Mark's eyes flicked to the parts, then back heavy with the unsaid. Saw the text thread, son. The 5 grand, asked the workstation grab. Thought she was building something real with you. Opposites, yeah. You're steady, her spark. Spark. The word twisted faint echo of beach sunsets and unstoppable whispers. I stayed level fingers tracing the case etch, absent-minded. Spark needs circuits, Mark. Hers shorted on whims. He nodded slow, the motion weary. Mine too once. Pushed mergers over family, lost her mum to that grind. Won't watch her torch the rest. Torch, fitting her frequency flickering out on borrowed boards. Silence pooled then thick, but not tense, the kind that settles audits after the numbers close. Outside city, hum filtered faint, through the window horns, distant sirens, life logging on without cue. Mark glanced at the door, then the rig-shell voice softening to gravel confession. She's out there now, staring at her phone like it'll manifest a redo. Wouldn't come up, said it felt too grounded. Grounded, like that's the curse. Grounded. My curse in her lexicon, now her anchor sinking slow. I rose, then crossing to the bourbon shelf, his brand the one we'd cracked over steaks. 2 fingers, neat glasses clinking soft as I poured. Handed his over, ice optional. To audits closed. He took it, sip burning, steady exhale, easing a fraction. To that. And Dylan, you dodged around. Caliber high, her world's all flash no fuse. Yours builds. Forge ahead, yeah, like that etch says. Forge ahead. Echoed back full circle Dad's words through his hands, now Mark's. The affirmation landed solid, no sting, just the quiet click of closure. I raised my glass touchlight. Yeah, appreciate the vector. Vector, tech speak slipping, but he got it, direction over drift. We sat a beat longer, bourbon warming the edges, talk veering neutral. His golf league was my latest client pivot. No deep dives, no dissections, just the method of moving. At 8:12, he stood, coat shrugged back on, like armor half mended. I'll handle the wires first ones Monday, and her out of your grid, for good. For good. The finality settled clean, no loose ends dangling. Handshake firm at the door, his grip lingering, a second apology etched in the squeeze. Take care, son. Door clicked shut, elevator whine fading down. I turned back to the table parts arrayed like repatriated relics. Case slotted, first click, home etch facing front. GPU next seating snug. CPU cooler torqued, tight paced, fresh applied. RAM snapped in last, dual channel hum promising on boot. Power cycled at 8:30, fans spinning, soft symphony life resumed, upgraded unintended. Downstairs, her silhouette blurred through the lobby cam feed. I'd glanced, slumped in the passenger seat of his SUV phone, glow casting shadows on a face I'd once mapped as future. No wave, no text trail, just the pull-away taillights, red streaking into night. Mark's tab on her karma compounded 40 minus 29, 11 years of payback. Pings her frequency, tuned to thrift. Hahe. Not the burn, but the balance restored. Her strip exposed the seams, his haul sealed them. Board cleared, my move, rebuild, release. Checkmate's echo quiet but complete. 2 weeks post-drop-off, and the cascade had settled into its final unspooling flow. Not a flood anymore, but a steady drain, pulling Emma's empire down to its foundations. I'd kept tabs loose, no stalking, just the occasional ping from Marcus confirming the wire's first installment hit my account. Monday, $200, shaved from her coaching scraps labeled Restitution Hargrove. 11 years to 40, Mark's math. Her socials, I'd muted them pre-twist, but algorithms being algorithm snippets leaked through mutuals or ad retargets. First, the launch fallout. Abundance Alchemy's VIP circle imploded within days. Founding tier refunds, spiking as whispers of unstable energy leaked from the group chat. Her follow count dipped 5,000 by week's end, a slow bleed of unsubscribes from the very visionaries she'd vowed to elevate. Then the contract's 2 mid-tier sponsorships ghosted her inbox emails citing brand misalignment, after Mia's passive-aggressive post about cutting toxic ties for higher vibes. The retreat cancelled outright villa deposits non-refundable, leaving her 5 figures in the red. But the real unravel, her squad's fracture. Mia unfollowed First Public as a block party burn, a story slide of Bali solo shots captioned Solo Glow. Sometimes the circle shrinks to fit the frequency. Camilla piled on with a vague boundaries reel, her wellness vlog suddenly solo journeys only. Chloe ever the scalpel went quietest, direct block, no trace her feed scrubbed of any Emma echo. Turns out fragile social capital crumbles fastest under its own weight. These weren't bonds. They were transactions woven from shared spotlights and mutual metrics, each post a ledger line, in the illusion of unbreakable sisterhood. Pressure to perform the endless scroll of curated wins, the fear of falling behind in the feed, binds tight until the first crack shows. One member's flop becomes contagion. Whispers of weakness spread like shadow bands, turning allies into auditors. Emma's vent about the $5,000 gap. It echoed back as evidence of her scarcity vibe, the very block she'd preached dissolving. No loyalty without leverage. When her glow dimmed, so did their orbit. They didn't cut her for empathy. They cut to protect their own algorithms, pruning the branch that threatened the tree. In the end, Capital like that isn't earned. It's rented month to month on the grace of group validation. Eviction notice served and the locks changed overnight. And the debts they piled like underbugged errors, compounding quiet. Mark's tab loomed largest monthly wires, now her new normal, a reminder etched in every Venmo ping. Credit lines maxed from pre-freeze splurges, interest ticking like a bad loop. She bailed on the loft, mid-month lease revoked on my end. No hard feelings, just the clean break clause I'd invoked via Marcus. Back to the suburbs guest room in her dad's split level, the one with the faded Empire wallpaper from his exec days. Influencer life shredded. No more dawn rituals and silk slips, just cold brews at the kitchen for Micah, pitching one-on-one clarity calls to crickets. Her last post, I glimpsed a black and white mirror selfie caption, shedding layers for the real, but the likes under 100 mostly bots, and pity follows. The queen of frequencies tuned to static. Me. The losses tallied light $12 on that seltzer tab, plus Marcus's flat fee, $1,300 total, a rounding error against the rebuild. Workstation purred, upgraded, now new GPU slotted in last weekend, rendering client sims twice as fast. RAM doubled for the side hustle. I'd spun up freelance anomaly hunts for logistics firms pulling steady 5 figures quarterly. No more back-end for her front. Just clean code, quiet wins. Apartment echoed. At first her Palo Santo stubs cleared. Fairy lights boxed for donation, the vanity mirror I'd gifted now flipped to face the wall. But the quiet, it filled fast. Mornings, black coffee, on the balcony city grid, waking below like a dataset unfolding. Evenings, dives into that chess app I'd neglected, algorithms sharpening against AI foes, each check a small reclaim. Weekends free, no launch preps, no mingle mandates, just a trail run in the park, earbuds pulsing lo-fi beats that actually grounded, not gaslit. Friends pinged more old coding crew for beers, no shade, just shop talk on scalable stacks. Sleep came deep, dreamless, the kind that follows a full system wipe. Contrast hits hardest in the rear view, though her sizzle fizzling against my simmer steadying. Picture it, her scrolling suburb feeds from a borrowed laptop metrics, mocking the manifest millions mantra that bought her nothing but bounce checks. Me. Head down in the rig's glow, forecasting flows that actually flow, client pivots, landing a new contract for predictive modeling in supply chains, the kind that turns chaos to cash without the crystal pretense. Her abundance, evaporated equity, echoes in empty inboxes. Mine accrued value layer by layer, no vibes, chased, just variables balanced. The $12 exit, not loss, but the seed capital for this recalibration, trading her whirlwind for my weather vane true. But here's the deeper query, the one that lingers past the ledger close. What if the payback doesn't taste like triumph? Sure, the ha-hey. It's watching karma compile without your keystroke, her choices cascading clean. But revenge, even the poetic kind, can curdle if you sip too deep. It's not the win that sustains, it's the why beneath it. That $5,000 gauntlet. It wasn't about the dollars, it was the demand for proof, the litmus test on your ledger of loyalty. You don't counter with counters, you correct the core. Walking away, not spite but self-sovereignty, reclaiming the bandwidth she'd bandwidth blocked. The real yield. Not her fall, but your rise, unencumbered boundaries as bedrock, not barriers. If the sweet stings sour, it's signal the truest checkmate plays to your board, not theirs. Value isn't in the vanquish, it's in the validation you grant yourself first. In the end, they wanted me to prove my worth in their wallet of whims. But the smartest move, step off the square altogether. Let the opponent castle into their own check king, trapped by their own gambits, queen cornered in the crush. That's not petty, that's precision. Forge ahead unfiltered. The game's yours when you redefine the rules. And me, I'm good, better than good. Lights out city humming soft below. Checkmate.